Today we are in the living room because my chances of locking myself out of the house are greatly decreased when I am inside. So today I want to talk about how one of the greatest strengths of being a web cartoonist can also be a bit of a weakness. And this came about earlier in the week, so I felt it was pertinent. But of course, there are many excellent advantages to being an independent web cartoonist. You don't have to worry about an editor preventing you from telling the stories that you want to do. You have a lot of opportunity to experiment with your style of art or storytelling, or both at the same time. You can basically do whatever you want. The cost of entry is extremely low. There are many free services out there that allow you to upload and share images. So you can start your webcomic on something like Tumblr or DeviantArt or Blogspot or one of those free services and build a fan base there. And when you get ready for it, you can buy a URL and do all that kind of fancy stuff. So a lot of great advantages to being a web cartoonist. Gives you a lot of freedom to express yourself and to try new things and to do new things. But because you don't have the support network of a publisher like a Marvel or a DC, you're left to do a lot of these other things on your own, like advertising, like promotion, like website maintenance. And this is where being an independent cartoonist, doing everything yourself, DIY, can sometimes bite you in the ass. So a lot of webcomics out there are run on WordPress using ComicPress. It's an easy solution. You just plug it in, plug and play, and you go, and you don't really need to know any of the back-end stuff. For a couple of bucks, you can easily set up your own URL, set up your own hosting, and you can run with a webcomic and you're good to go. The problem comes when you have to update the back end. And every time WordPress puts out another update to the WordPress package, it's a good idea to upgrade because they fix security holes and security leaks and things like that. And if you don't know enough about like PHP or MySQL or any of that backend stuff, it can be a little frustrating when something like when your website gets hacked, or when malicious code gets into your site and you don't know where it comes from. And this happened recently to my site. There was some malicious code that got in there. It was redirecting people to other websites. It injected some Cialis advertising at the head of my site, and on the one hand, it's kind of funny that people are promoting Cialis and Viagra on a webcomic, but on the other hand, it's really annoying because you want your site to be a place that's trusted for your readers. You want your readers to feel safe checking in to your comic every day. You don't want them to go to your site and like, oh shit, am I gonna get a virus today? Am I gonna get spam today? Is someone gonna hack my computer because I logged into my favorite webcomic? I know enough about how the back end of WordPress works and how to FTP things and all that kind of stuff to fix the problem. I just don't know enough to make it like a vault, so that no one can get in there. So that's one of the biggest problems with WordPress or running a site. When you get to a point where you get enough traffic, people are going to want to hack your shit. And if you don't know enough about the how your system works, and if you don't know enough about how to clean it and how to secure it against some of the more simple attacks, you're in for a world of hurt. So it behooves you to get friends or to meet people in your network who are familiar with this kind of thing, or to know people who've dealt with this kind of thing before, because it can be really daunting. You don't want to spend your time learning about web security or SQL databases or anything like that. You want to spend your time telling stories, writing comics, all that kind of thing. So another problem with WordPress is that sometimes when you want to add a functionality to your site and you don't know how to code it yourself, you can plop in a plugin and it'll do some fun things for you, like maybe make transcriptions easier, or make those little share buttons pop up and all that kind of cool stuff. But when WordPress updates to the next version, some of those plugins don't always aren't aren't always supported. There are things that break in those plugins. And this happened again recently. The plugin that I use for transcribing the comic, and ComicPress has its own field, but I wanted to use this other plugin because it made things a little bit easier and made it more intuitive for me to put in the stuff. Well, that program hasn't been, that plugin hasn't been supported in 2 years and hasn't been updated in 2 years. And so of course it broke when I upgraded to the latest version of WordPress. So weird thing is the transcripts are still in the system and in the database. They're just in a different field. And so now I've got to copy them from one field to another field and then fix them up and all this kind of stuff. So beware of the plugins that you are adding into your ComicPress WordPress site, because they won't always be maintained or they won't always be upgraded, which kind of makes me fearful of the day when Frumpf, the guy who kind of took over the ComicPress development, if he gets tired of making security fixes to ComicPress, then I'm completely fucked, because then I won't know what to do with the website. So I guess one of the things that I'd like to do, and it's probably going to cost money, because this is the big downfall of a lot of independent web cartoonists. Like, I don't want to spend time fucking around with my website. I want to post my comic, I want to write my blog posts, I want to interact with my fans, and that's what I want to do. In an ideal world, that's all I would have to do. I wouldn't have to learn how to FTP things, or like how to download a database or back up my systems, or install security patches or any of that stuff. In an ideal world, I would just set it and forget it and let someone else worry about it. So I think in 2013, I might bite the bullet and just give that part up and pay someone to webmaster my stuff, because it took a long time to figure out how to unfuck the malicious code in the site. It's going to take a long time figuring out how to, make the transcripts come back. And this is time that could be spent doing comics, things that I really want to do with the site. So I'm probably going to have to look into hiring somebody or paying somebody to do this kind of maintenance for me sometime in 2013. Which also means giving up designing the website, and redesigning the website is also another thing that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been contemplating a redesign since the beginning of 2012. Clearly, I haven't had time to actually implement it. So that's another thing that I'm probably gonna have to pay someone to do, because it's really time consuming. I have ideas and I can do it all, but that doesn't mean I should be doing it all. I feel like my time is better spent making comics and interacting with people and that kind of stuff. So the independence is certainly one of the greatest things about being a web cartoonist. There's no way Yellow Peril would be picked up by a newspaper syndicate, much less a major publisher like Marvel or DC, or even First Second, or some of those independent publishers that concentrate on the smaller titles. Like, I feel like my comic wouldn't necessarily be picked up by one of those places. So instead of waiting around and trying to slog it out in the trenches and submitting and getting really depressed with all the rejection letters that I get, I can put out my comic now and gain a readership right away, and not have to slog it out that way. But then I have to deal with all these other things on the back end. So if you are starting out and contemplating doing web comics, I highly recommend finding someone in your network of friends that can help you with the web design, because it's hard to give up that control, because you want to control the look of your comic, you want to control the way people see your work and the way your work is presented. But ultimately, your time is much better spent making the comic, drawing the comic, writing the comic, putting the comic up, and let someone else to do it. So find a friend that is willing to help you out, or pay them when you can get to that point, because their time is worth money. Just like your time making comics is worth something to you, their time is worth something to them. So if you can pay them, that's awesome. If you need to buy them dinner or give them an expensive gin or something like that, but their time is worth money, so pay them. So I think 2013 I'm gonna make some inroads in that way. Also, I want to have a mobile site and I don't want to code it, so that's another thing I want someone else to develop. So that's what I had to say on that. If you guys have any ideas for solutions for maintaining a secure website or things like that, hit me up in the show notes or the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if you have suggestions or tips on things like that, because it's certainly something that I'm going to be dealing with more often as the traffic numbers creep up. More people are going to want to fuck with my shit, which sucks. It's kind of awesome, but it kind of sucks. So, all right, I'm going to stop rambling. Check you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.